Well, good morning. It is early on a late August morning. It is a very fresh feel to the day today. It's almost autumnal, and I thought we've got a bit of a slow paced day, so why not take you around and open up the animals together? First up, pig food. Hi Glenn. Good morning Maggie. Oh, toilet time. Now it might be early morning here on the Smallholding, but that does not mean that there's no activity. The farmers are already out harvesting. They've been harvesting for a couple of weeks now, taking advantage of the drier weather. It's not totally dry and it's not as hot as it has been previously, but it's dry enough. So they're busy, you can hear them in the background. And speaking of hearing things, the pigs have already heard me and the horses are coming over. Now Rodney comes with me. I just have to be careful that he doesn't get stood on. This isn't for you, this is for the pigs. So I'll ignore the horses until I've fed the pigs because they think what's in the bucket is for them. Then we'll have a check on them. I should have worn my wellies. It's very wet. Come on Rodney. Come on Rodney, go. Come on in piggies. Come on, over here where you've got it drier. Now what I'm doing with the pig food is throwing it over onto the ground. We have been feeding in troughs, but because they're only going to be here another week, well less than a week, we're throwing it over onto the ground to try and help them root up that last bit. Peace. So the trough is over there, but if it goes in the trough then it doesn't encourage them to root in the ground, and these pellets are big enough to allow them to eat off the harder floor. So even though over here is extremely boggy, this section is very dry, so it's quite easy for them to get the food off the ground, and there's no other animals in here, so there's nothing to worry about them eating droppings of anything else either. So the pig's water needs doing now. The hose pipe for that is in the greenhouse, so normally I would turn it on, but because I brought the camera and things take a little bit longer with the camera, Rodney this way, I didn't switch it on, but I'll make sure the hose is in so that I can fill it up. Now I did do it late last night, so it might not be too bad. It's actually still full. So if it wasn't still full, then I would fill that up. Pigs are very clean animals actually. People think that they're very dirty, but they're not. They're very clean. But they do put their snouts, obviously when they're rooting, in the water, which gets the water dirty very quickly. But as animals, we find them very clean. They go to the toilet in the same place, you know, they don't lay in it or anything like that. So one of my favourite, pigs and ducks, don't tell horses, one of my favourite animals on the Smallholding. Let's just have a quick visual check of the horses, make sure they're okay, because they're not getting any extra food at the moment. Now obviously when we're poo picking the field we check on these guys, but because they're not getting any extra food or anything like that, as I say, it's just good to do a visual check and get head-butted. There's nothing in there, this is why I ran off with it, it's not for you. You'll get your head stuck and then you'll freak out. No, must have been one left. Don't miss a trick, do you? And how's Sonic? Are you okay? No, it's not for you either, but I'll have a stroke. Oh, I can't reach, I can't reach. Looking fit and well. The flies are irritating them. Rodney, away. Right, time to go and take care of the chickens. We'll check the horses' water on the way past. Come on, Rodney. That's nice and clean and full as well. So chicken time. There's nothing to do with the sheep except the water. So I'll double check that. But they're quite happy living on the grass at the moment, just like the horses. They do need visual checks, as you've seen in the other videos. We do check them over, but these are all looking quite happy. Somebody's been laid in the shavings that we from the work that Stephen and I did last night with the trees. Hi Carol. Hello darling. And that's Nettle and Maggie in the distance. Right, let's grab some chicken food and go the other way, feed the ducks and the chickens. Come on Rodney. Now on a morning people ask what time Stephen and I get up to get all of this done. Because we work full-time as well, we have to get up to allow time for that, and we choose to exercise on a morning as well. So both Stephen and I get up at about 5 o'clock for me and 20 past 5 for Stephen. That's just by choice, it's just to get everything done without having to rush around too much. And to be honest, these days, much more of a morning person anyway. I much prefer getting up on a morning and enjoying all of this instead of when I'm tired on an evening. Before the chickens, we're going to feed the goats first. We don't want too much here because they're little chubby monsters. So just a small handful is more than enough for them. Okay, so I can see that the goat's water needs doing, so we'll bring them a bucket in. But first of all, we'll put the hay out, and we'll go and let them out. So the goats go out into the paddock for some grass. I think I've mentioned that before, but we don't allow them in it too much. Because they'll gorge and end up with frothy mouth or something similar. So I'm going to empty their water out and refill it now. So frothy mouth or anything kind of along those lines is it's something that's going to disrupt the digestive system, that'll give them bloat, that'll make them uncomfortable in the stomachs, and then they can't produce what they need to produce and end up needing veterinary care. The ducks are so noisy. Let's check for eggs before we feed them. Only one egg. So I'm going to talk about this on a separate video, the Smallholding video, a tour video that I'm doing. I can't believe I haven't done one of them since May. Let me feed the ducks and we'll catch up. That's better. I've let the other chickens out that live in a little coop in that cage as well. So they're having breakfast with the ducks. They happily live together, no problems at all. So what I was saying, on a different video, I'm doing a Smallholding tour video that I've mentioned, going around everywhere and having a good look, talking about the pigs and the ducks and what's going on and whatnot. Stephen and I are thinking about having a big change around as to the location of the ducks and the chickens and things, just because they've stopped laying, both of them. I think something must be disturbing them, or they're unhappy about something or other, and we just want to have a general kind of tidy up of things like that you can see behind me. So we're going to take you forward, going to take you through those projects as we do them, but at the moment, with getting no duck eggs and no chicken eggs, it's really frustrating, because one, we've got none to sell, but two, we've got none for ourselves, or very few. One egg doesn't go very far between 4 people. Not for you, nope. And only 2 eggs off the chickens when we should be getting at least 8 or 9. Come on, Rodney. So we have also been to a local chicken seller, a local business. I mentioned that in a previous video, because we're going to replace the stock that we've got. We're not going to get rid of these. We're just going to kind of, when they drop off, we're not going to replace them with what we've got here. We did consider incubating the eggs from here for laying hens, but we'll see. I'm going to go into more detail on that on the tour. But yeah, the amount of eggs that we're getting is abysmal at the moment. Whether they're coming into mould because the weather's been so funny, we'll have to wait and see, but hopefully it'll pick up as soon as we make the changes that Stephen and I are going to implement. Because of course the other problem is every Friday I would normally put the eggs out on the stall to sell, and although it may only be pennies that we're bringing in, it goes towards the feed. The chickens and ducks are costing us about £22 a week to feed at the moment, and that's just not sustainable. I've said this before, but we're still in the same position where, you know, if we don't have eggs to sell, we're not going to make any money in, and you know, if it's getting to the point where we're going to have to buy our own, it's just not an option. So we need to seriously have a think about what we're going to do in that situation. Anyway, I'm going to go and get the water for everybody now, which will be extremely noisy, so I won't take you around that. But that's it for the animals. It's quite easy in the summer. Pigs are fed, horses are fine, all of the waters will be done. Goats are out later on today. I'll show you when we get them out in the paddock. The ducks have all got food and water, as have the chickens, or they will have in a second. And that's it done. So it doesn't take too long on a summer morning. Come the winter, that's a totally different situation.